Office executive Herr Yao is known for pretty looks, but behind closed doors, she acts all cutesy for her online laogong or husband, sending cute voice messages every night. One day, she hears a familiar voice during a meeting and finds out that one of her employees is actually her laogong. How will she act in front of her laogong now? We kick it off with the cutest, and we say this with grace. Avatars of Ginger Yuzu Tea, a level 47 assassin, and her wife, or Lao Po Happy Little Rider. The latter is a level 39 mage, and both of them are in the middle of facing the most challenging obstacle of their career, facing the Heavenly Dog universe's first evil cult, the Rabbit's Welcome. For something that's a mouthful to say, you'd expect an intimidating dark character like the Edo Tensei of Uchiha Madara, yet we're looking at this questionable pattern of pink and blue plastered on a bunny figure with Bishionen eyes. And yes, this is the boss of this level, Tiao Ye. In the real world, our main MC, Herr Yao, straightens up in her seat because business is about to get real. On the other side, her laogong reminds her to step back once the fight begins. Herr Yao musters the cutest lowly voice there is in humankind as she cheers on her laogong, in the most serious face too. Now this is no normal event since this is their last entry ticket for the week. Fail and it'll be instant death. Just kidding. They're just going to lose the chance to overcome this opponent. While her laogong is fighting the great ninja war as if her life depended on it, Herr Yao continues to cheer her while doing her skincare, a multitasking queen. Just then, Tiao Ye unleashed his final attack, the magic of love, and out came 100 minion versions of him, the evil cult party. Laogong fights harder than ever while Herr Yao casually puts on her pedicure. Just then, she remembers that there's this particular Tiao Raider from the side that does nothing. It reminds her of that good-for-nothing veteran manager at the office. True enough, it's right there, chillin' like a villain drinking milk tea on the side. Herr Yao tells her laogong to attack that one. With that, laogong unlocked the legendary hidden scene, the appearance of a mysterious girl. She hands them Tiao's ears, an S-class item that boosts the wearer's luck and increases their XP. With the fight over, laogong bids her Lao Po goodnight, which the latter does in the same cutesy voice. Just then, her sister catches her in the act, for her persona. After all, Herr Yao is the head of a department yet acts all cutesy and plays games. Still, she takes pride in playing the wifey of an elementary school lesbian. At least that's what Herr Yao thought, because the author of the comics had a different thing in mind. The next day, Herr Yao attends a music event at FG Tech, in partnership with the company, as the new head of strategic development. FG Tech's manager, Mr. Go, welcomed her, and the meeting resumed, but not before the former introduced the other two senior engineers, Jiang and Li. Mr. Go had Jiang lay out all the technicalities, and as soon as Herr Yao heard it, she felt funny. Wait, does this kind of sound a lot like laogong? And this girl, this pink-haired girl, is her laogong? What kind of cliché drama is this? Even Herr Yao found the situation ridiculous. Do things like these really happen? Apparently, Herr Yao, they do. Blame your author. Nah, it can't be. This Jiang. You can't be her laogong, though she admits they sound awfully alike. Jiang continues with her presentation, so to confirm, Herr Yao secretly sends a text to her laogong. Jiang's phone lit up and sent a quick reply just as Herr Yao's phone vibrated. Confirmed, this is her laogong all right. But why would an office worker like her enjoy listening to someone act cutesy online? Whatever the reason, Herr Yao decides to confirm one more thing and sends another message to Jiang. She asks if there are any pretty girls around her. Jiang glances over at Herr Yao, who averts her eyes before replying that there's no one. The guts of this girl? Does she have COVID? How does she not have good taste? The meeting wrapped up a little later, and now Herr Yao finds herself eating with the other executives at the cafeteria before they proceed with the lab tour later. She was all caught up listening to them before Jiang and her office mate passed by. Herr Yao overhears the latter asking Jiang if she wants to see a movie, and is taken aback when Jiang asks about the movie they plan to watch. Doesn't she have a scheduled online playtime with her kindergarten Lao Po? Hold up, what did she mean by kindergarten? Jiang defends, or at least knows, that her Lao Po is a working woman. Unfortunately, her office mate doesn't think so. No woman of mature age would act all and online, right? Even elementary kids are so much more mature. Somehow, overhearing them say that made Haryao self-conscious. Did I really sound like that? However, she snapped out of her reveries when she heard Jiang say that nothing's real online and that they have their own lives outside the game. Anyway, Jiang decided she'd go see the movie with them. She'd just tell her Laopo that she was working overtime tonight. What she doesn't know won't hurt her, right? Now that's the spirit, since she already agreed they'll be watching The Tale of the Immortal Dog, which sounds every bit as crappy. Haryao starts stabbing her Ginger in retaliation, causing a bit of concern for the other executives. And do you know what else is a Ginger? Jiang's online avatar, Ginger Yuzu T. That night, Jiang really did go to the movies. She texted her Laopo, saying she was working late. Ha! The nerve to lie straight to her face. But Jiang didn't know she messed up. At the time, Jiang was having dinner when she received her Laopo's curt reply. K. Her I did something wrong senses were tingling. Now she knew she messed up. As for you, are you enjoying the story so far? We're already halfway through our video, but how will Laogong entice her Laopo back to her? Comment below, and if you want to take it up a notch, you can always leave us a super thanks on this video to get us going for more videos like these. Back to her Yao, fine, who cares? She can play on her own. As a matter of fact, wasn't the new minigame Yao Shui Zhen released yesterday? She decided she'd just explore it by herself. Plus, it's not like the mountain demon boss is powerful. Oh, she can do this. Jiang's not that strong anyway. Online, one of the mountain demon boss's henchmen, a deer demon, reports that they've got a challenger at the foot of the mountain, and you bet it's Haryao, all right. Ha! Just in time, because the demon boss has gotten bored recently. And you know what? This very same scene played out 4 more times because Haryao's avatar kept on dying. She was that weak. Finally, on her last turn, she encountered another player who wanted to buy her Tiao's ears for 1,000 gold coins. Yeah, that's a hard no. Haryao even is every bit offended, like this dweeb really thought he could buy it from her? Heck no. His laogong should win it for him. This was clearly not Haryao's night, lying down exasperated at everything that just happened. She fishes her phone and checks her message. A stressed friend wanting to rant about her mother-in-law, and another friend asking for her contacts at the education department. Still bored, she starts swiping through her dating app and sees a pretty girl. She looks like a doll with that porcelain skin. Meh, boring. No message from her laogong. Then she sat up. Why did she even send K to her laogong? 2 can play this game. So with that, Haryao decided to string the unknowing Jiang along. By then, Jiang and her friends had just gotten out of the cinema when she received a message from Haryao. They were about to get skewers at this new BBQ place, but Jiang decided to bounce. Laogong duty calls. In the digital world, the mountain demon boss and Qiao Ye were hanging out when the latter's deer demon appeared again, informing her that happy little rider, Haryao's avatar, was at it again. But she's not alone this time. She has Ginger Yuzu tea with her. And just like that, the mountain demon was wiped out in one go, like how Itachi wiped out the whole Uchiha clan. Jiang gave the reward, the A-class item Muten Demon's Peach Blossom, to Haryao, obviously. She tucks it away for safety, just as her laogong asks if she wants to go again since they have 3 more chances. Haryao admitted that she used all her chances, making her laogong giggle. Everybody knows her laogong is the fighter between them. Does a mage like her really believe she can take out the mountain demon boss? It's like Sakura fighting Madara. Off-screen, Haryao's doing everything in her power to hold back and not lash out at her laogong. How does this woman even think? Meanwhile, her laogong keeps teasing her. All right, that's it. And with that, Haryao started lashing out at Jiang, using her real voice because she was pissed as hell when she suddenly caught herself a moment later. Oops. Laogong calls out to her on the other end, so of course she had to bring the cutesy voice back, feeling sad that Laogong would make fun of her. The latter promised not to laugh at her anymore and bid her goodnight. Hearing her like this, Haryao finds it hard that a straight-faced office drone like Jiang can talk sweetly like this. Well, whatever. Haryao does the same in the sweetest voice possible. It's a new day at work. Yao decided to come along with director Faye at FG Tech, despite the latter pointing out she doesn't have any business to do there. It's all tech issues and stuff. But she decided to go anyway, reasoning that her department is built upon the data generated by FG Tech's tech department, yada yada yada. The meeting wrapped up later, and Zhang's boss asked her to take Yao and Zhou, another coworker, out for lunch. Zhou bailed out quickly, saying she's got family to visit, which means it's only Yao and Zhang. It's our Laopo and Laogong together, finally. But Yao's not too keen on it because how else will she spy over Zhang? It's not like Zhang can recognize her cutesy voice, right? She'd have to listen to it a couple of hundred times. Anyway, the two walked over to the cafeteria in silence until two kids accidentally bumped against Yao. She got shoved over to Zhang, and what's worse, they called her ma'am. Why, I oughta... Yao was about to run her mouth when she caught herself a moment later feeling Zhang staring right at her. The younger asks if she was okay when she felt pain in her ankle, and yap, she sprained it. Poor Yao started sobbing, so Zhang left her to sit somewhere while she got something. Now that she's alone, Yao checked her injury and she'll be damned. Her ankle's already swelling like a Genki Dama gathering energy. But as soon as she saw people approaching, she resumed her dignified pose. Can't let them kids see her weak and all. Zhang arrived a moment later with a numbing spray and kneeled in front of her. Wait, hold up. Yao panics, telling the boyish Sakura, I mean her Laogong, Zhang, that she'll be fine, but it all fell on deaf ears. Zhang sprayed it on her ankle, and while doing so, Yao was plagued with an intrusive thought. She wanted to pet Zhang's hair. Wait, no, this is inappropriate, but in the end, her intrusive thought won as she patted Zhang's head for a moment before instantly withdrawing it. Yao quickly apologized for doing it, but in her defense, Zhang's hair looked so fluffy. Thankfully, Zhang's nonchalant AF and resigned to her fate of people ruffling it because she's got curly hair. Yao took that as a pass to ruffle Zhang's hair again, so the latter had no choice but to let her, as if she had the heart to decline Yao when she looked that excited. Now that her ankle was all fixed, Zhang asked her if she wanted to grab a bite or something. At first, Yao said she'd just get a ride when, aha, I should take this opportune moment, she thinks. So the two ended up having bubble tea at a nearby shop called Xiangu's Bubble Tea. They sat together having tea when Yao broke the silence. She tells Zhang that Xiangu's Bubble Tea actually has a secret. There's a dog-shaped pearl in their drinks. Yao proceeded to swirl her boba tea around looking for the pearl while Zhang stared at her quietly. This time, it was Zhang's turn to sweep Yao's hair out of her face, catching the latter by surprise. That bathump moment left Yao flustered. But she continued looking for the pearl, just as Zhang told her to until she found it. Well, would you look at that? It's really shaped like a dog. Proud of her achievement, Yao didn't notice that Zhang started to rummage through her own boba to find something like that too. After a bit, she found one, but it looked more like a panda. Curiosity struck, so Zhang asked her how she found out about it, and Yao said she loved Xiangu so much to the point that she actually noticed that the pearls had different textures. Jiaying couldn't help but notice and was reminded of that one sticker. Weird knowledge increased. Upon mentioning that, Yao slipped up and said that her Laogong used that a lot, and that's when Zhang asked if she was married. In Zhang's eyes, she looked far too young. So in a desperate attempt to cover up her mistake, Yao just said that it was the surname of an old schoolmate. You know, he's called Gong. So yeah, that's it. Flash forward to later that night. Laogong texts her Laopo about the secret boba of Xiangu Bubble Tea, the dog-shaped pearls. Feigning innocence, Yao plays along as her Laopo, asking how Laogong knew that, feeling giddy as heck. Well, that was quickly replaced by annoyance because what the heck did Laogong mean the old lady at the company told her? Didn't she tell her earlier that she looked young for her age? She's not Tsunade level yet. Tonight's a fun night online because Xiangu's universe has a pretty sweet event lined up for their players, but for a limited time only, finding the Great Granny Duck. And it looks pretty much like a dumbed-down version of Vivi's pet Karoo. You'd think everyone would be brimming with excitement with this piece of good news. Well, not Yao. Your girl sat irritated in front of her monitor. Do you know why? It's because her Laogong can't help her hunt for the duck because Zhang works overtime tonight. Is it real or is it just an excuse? We're already halfway through our video, so how exactly will Yao go through this alone? 3 hours went by with Haryao slowly morphing into her chair, bored AF. Her sister calls her out for looking half dead, to which she nonchalantly answers that she's looking for a duck. A duck? Is that what lesbians are into these days? No matter, because just then, Haryao received a notification from her work group chat. Director Faye asked for updates about the data, and Joe explained that FG Tech is still working on them. So was her laogong really busy at work? You know what? She's got it now. Haryao knows what to do. Suddenly, she got all dolled up, much to her sister's surprise. The younger even thought she was about to gigolo with that getup. Haryao cleared that she was working overtime at the office and headed straight to FG Tech. Zhang was busy working like a mindless drone when she heard Haryao call her over. Looking pretty as ever, Haryao pretends she didn't know why the other was working hard this late and hands her some boba tea from Xiangu's shop. Zhang takes it and notices how Haryao looks all glammed up, so she asks if the older one was just on a date earlier. Success! This was Haryao's plan all along, to make Zhang notice her beauty. Unfortunately, their conversation got cut short because Li, Zhang's co-worker, called out to her. You best believe Haryao's already cursing this runt but acted all prim and proper, explaining that she was just around, so she decided to give a couple of bubble tea drinks to everyone. Zhang stared at the two silently, as her office mate took the drinks from Haryao before looking at her own. With that, Li told Zhang they should head to her station so the other could check her work. As soon as the two of them were out of sight, Li was quick to pull Zhang closer, and thought that Haryao was hitting on Zhang. Little did they know that Haryao stayed behind to eavesdrop on that. Well, it turns out Haryao was just a nice person overall. Zhang remained quiet, even as Li kept on about how she ought to choose Haryao, who's way prettier and more mature, over her happy little wanderer. Zhang ignored everything and even pointed out Li's rookie mistake in coding. Of course, Li blamed it all on their other workmate when they heard Haryao call out that she'd be taking their leave. Both girls turned at the sound of her voice, but Haryao sensed something was off. It was like Laogong didn't look too happy at all. How the hell did she arrive at that conclusion? Jiang's face is as expressive as Eraserhead's. The heck? Haryao sat by herself outside and received a call from her office mate, the latter lamenting about how the older farts at their office kept hitting on her. This time it was Director Faye who gave her flu meds today, but Haryao tried to console her, assuring her that she was pretty if men were hitting on her. Her office mate finds it all humiliating, and at the mention of that, Haryao couldn't help but assume that this was the reason why Zhang looked upset earlier. Did Zhang not like being hit on? As if to rub salt to injury, she's reminded of what her office mate just said. Old and humiliating. Ha! Wait till she hears half of what P. Diddy did. In Haryao's defense, she was just giving boba tea and she didn't go overboard, but why does it have to feel this bad? She's no cradle snatcher. That's when Haryao blew up and popped off against her friend. Director Faye was just trying to be good, and that's when her office mate pointed out that Haryao talked more smack about Director Faye. Haryao dropped the call, then her mascara already ruined as she cried when she received a text from her laogong asking if she found the great granny duck. This just made her feel all sappy, crying even more as she sent a quick reply to her laogong. Meanwhile, Zhang returned to her workstation and noticed a lipstick smear on one of the partitions. She checked it and asked her other office mates if they knew what kind of shade it was. Their answers ranged from red to bright red to RGB. But all Zhang did was stare back at them with a judging glare. Haryao went home not too long after. Mascara ruined much to her sister's surprise. For a gigolo to end up looking like that, did he enjoy their bedroom activities too much? But when Haryao didn't answer her teasing, her sister panicked and said she was only joking. To shift the mood, the younger showed her the prize of the game, which is a spring figure of the happy little great duck. That was enough to bring the gamer in her. But when Haryao checked the time, it was already 12:10 a.m. The activity was already over. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back as Haryao started wailing hard. Meanwhile, her laogong is looking at her phone, longingly waiting for her reply. Zhang sent a text to her laopo earlier that night saying she's working overtime, yet the latter still hasn't replied even now. She decided to compose a message when she sat up, catching the attention of Li, who was sitting right beside her. And the reason? Zhang could no longer send messages to her laopo. Yao got her blocked. Lee asked what Jiang did to her, and when the latter said she didn't do anything, it just made her ask again why on earth her Lao Po would block her. Just then, one of their colleagues from the back chimed in saying it must be because Jiang didn't accompany her to find the great granny duck that night. Surely her Lao Po, ex-Lao Po, must have really wanted the happy little great duck prize. Poor Jiang tried to defend herself, saying it was not like she didn't want to go. She had to work overtime. In answer to that, Lee says it's not like Jiang's Lao Po knew that she was really working. For all she knows, her Lao Po must have thought she was just making an excuse. Well, there's no use crying over spilled milk, as Lee told her she should just focus on the gorgeous Yao instead of her ex-Lao Po. The next day, Yao went to work in her usual girl boss persona when her phone notified her of a friend request. It's none other than her laogong in her Notice Me Senpai moment, trying to get her back by getting the happy little duck for her. Just then, Director Faye appeared, saying they'll be having a meeting at FG Tech and asking Yao if she wanted to come along. She declined the invitation, stating that she already had a prior meeting with FG Entertainment and suggested he take Joe with him instead. She declined the invitation, so Director Faye left along with Joe a little later. After the meeting, Lee calls Joe over asking why they haven't seen Yao for a while now. Joe replies that Yao is busy with other work, which prompts her to ask if Joe is interested in her. At that, Lee became a bit giddy and pointed at Jiang, who happened to walk by as if on cue. Jiang looked pissed as heck and tried to smack Lee, but the latter managed to evade and let her walk past. Joe noticed that Jiang seemed to be in a bad mood, and Lee told her that it was because Jiang's Lao Po broke up with her and ran off with some other woman. Just like that, 3 months went by, and finally, the joint project between Yao's company and FG Tech is about to wrap up. One night, Director Faye asked her if she wanted to come for dinner later, but she found it off, given how she didn't directly help them in the project to begin with. Director Faye didn't even bother rebutting that and just told her that everyone missed her. From that alone, Yao already knew that it was that creepy Mr. Go who must have wanted her there. As if the gods in heaven were conspiring, Joe appeared literally a moment later, close to begging her to come. She can't deal with that creep, Mr. Gu. In the end, Yao caved in and attended the company dinner. Upon seeing her enter the room, Mr. Gu had already told her to sit next to him, and like every pretty girl boss forced to play along with the senior office creep, she gave him the most beaming smile as they exchanged pleasantries. Just then, he turned his attention to Joe, saying they should have a toast. Poor Joe walked over to him, and when he saw that she was drinking water, he insisted that she drink wine like him, even though she refused. In the end, Yao jumped in and saved her friend. She told Joe that the latter should pour him water instead of wine, which Joe gratefully did. Yao resumed eating, but Mr. Gu already had his attention on her, urging her to drink with him. She told him that she doesn't usually drink, but decided to join him for a bit, grabbing his glass as she did so. Jiang, who was sitting right beside her, kept a close eye on Yao the whole night as she continued drinking with Mr. Gu. How are you liking today's video so far now that we're halfway through it? And who do you think will make a move first, Mr. Gu or Jiang? Flash forward to later. Mr. Gu ordered Jiang to pour Yao another cup. As the younger woman turned to check on the older woman, she saw that Yao had a little too much to drink, which is why she almost reasoned against it. But before she could speak up, Yao cut her off and directly asked Jiang to pour her another cup. Well, what happened next was predictable. Yao got pretty wasted. Joe became her caretaker while Jiang trotted behind quietly. Seeing Yao's drunken state, Mr. Gu offered to take her home, but thankfully Joe knew Yao drove on the way there. With that said, she proposed to hire a driver instead, but the old fart didn't want to leave Yao at the hands of some hired driver, as if he's no better. Mr. Gu raised his voice firm in his decision to take Yao home when Jiang finally raised her hand and volunteered to take Yao home. There was an awkward silence before Joe decided to shove the nearly unconscious Yao to Jiang, citing that she's the best driver in the company. FG Tech's very own Lewis Hamilton. Joe continued to vouch for Jiang's driving skills, and Mr. Gu had no choice but to let her take Yao home. No sooner had Mr. Gu left than Joe did the same, taking off as she had to catch her train. Now left to themselves, Yao continues to lean to Jiang for support, while the latter holds her up by the waist. But as soon as she did, Heryao suddenly stood up and moved away from her. Jiang asks where she parked, but Heryao has already fished her phone out saying she'll hire a driver so Jiang can go home now. The younger is still hesitant to leave her alone, but Heryao's already in her Miss Independent mode saying she'll be fine and starts to walk away. Despite that, Jiang still expresses a wish to send her home, albeit softly, when Heryao suddenly turns and tells her not to mix water when someone asks to pour a drink for them. She'll get a bad rep making people think she's dishonest on the off chance that they found out. Jiang couldn't even explain herself because Heryao turned her back on her and called for a hired driver. She was in the middle of talking to the service when Jiang suddenly snatched her phone saying the caller was too drunk, so she'd be the one sending the caller home. With that, Jiang ended the call and turned to Heryao. The two locked in a gaze before the former handed Heryao the phone back, adding that she'd take her home. With that, Heryao had no choice but to go along with Jiang's wishes still beat red as ever. Whether it's because of the wine or Jiang, we'll never know. Yet. Jiang drove her home just as she said, and had her pull over at her garage. As soon as she parked the car, Heryao quickly removed her seatbelt, thanking and telling Jiang to go home. But Jiang calls out to her, and as she turns, she sees the latter hand her a small box with a funny-looking character printed on top. Heryao takes it from her hands and puts it in her purse, once again telling Jiang that she should head home now that it's getting pretty late, when suddenly Jiang grabs her by the cheeks and kisses her square in the mouth. First base! And just when she thought it couldn't get shocking enough, Jiang wanted to French it out, so Heryao had to push her away by the cheeks. Jiang remained unmoving and instead told her to open the gift. Heryao did as she was told, annoyed at the turn of events. Just what is she up to? She was already annoyed, as it is in how Jiang made a move on her when she opened the gift, and was dumbfounded to see the happy little great duck figure, its dumb eyes staring back at her. But more important than that, why is it tied up with a red string like this? Heryao was pulled out of her reverie when she heard her annoyingly cutesy voice echoing in the car, saying her sweet musings to laogong. Jiang has her phone shoved in Heryao's face, showing all the recordings her laogong sent her. Finally, the cat's out of the bag. What's more, Jiang knew it was her all along. With the evidence stacked up to her face, Jiang asks her Laopo what got her real quiet right now when she had so much crap to say online back then. In a quiet voice, Heryao could only ask Jiang how she knew it was her. Did Jiang know all along? Apparently, to understand better, let's wind it back to a year ago. This time, we're looking into Jiang's side. Back then, Jiang decided to explore Coding World online by herself and was instantly transported to the Great Duck's Coding World. At the lobby, she saw many characters looking for various things ranging from friends, support, medics, and even bald lesbians looking for love. As I've said, they're a variety. She was just minding her own business when she saw her future Laopo, happy little wanderer, a few feet away from her looking for a teammate to help carry her through Coding World. Back then, Laopo was just a mere level 20 player. Another player approached Laopo, saying they'll carry her for 10 GP per run, but the little wanderer only has 3 GP. Upon hearing that, the player left and scoffed at her offer. 3 GP ain't even enough for a resurrection token. Jiang thought that she was going anyway and might as well take the poor little wanderer with her. She was just about to lay down a few instructions when her future Laopo High Key yodeled through her in-ears thanking her for the hard carry. Jiang remained impassive as ever and only told the little wanderer to lower her volume before they headed to the Coding World together. But she's more surprised that the person who offered to help her was actually a girl too. Once there, Jiang went at it like a freaking member of the Ombu Assassination Corps, much to the others' delight. Since she had nothing to do, Little Wandered started asking Jiang a few things, like if she had a boyfriend, but the latter was quick to point out that she was as straight as seaweed. No, but seriously, has she ever seen a straight girl play an FG Corp game? Nope, they're all gay. Just then, Little Wanderer started making random comments about Jiang's fast hands and even dubbed them the magic wands of the mortal realm. The former spat her drink upon hearing that, suddenly feeling shy for the outpour of praises. How can she say something so embarrassing like this out loud? But Little Wanderer continued to yap while Jiang threw in a few tutorials here and there to help her out. She only needed to take down the last few enemies before she called Little Wanderer over. A moment later, the ground collapsed and out came the reward. Duck Angel's short staff. Jong grabbed it and was about to hand it to her when she noticed the little wanderer was busy stuffing her bag with duck feathers. Eh? As a mage, didn't she want this stuff to begin with? Well, little wanderer prioritizes the duck feathers, since there are a lot of things you can do with them. Suddenly, Jong received a voice chat telling her that she was waiting at the Demon King Ridge. She's done with Coding World anyway, so with that, Jong bid the little wanderer bye, who happily did the same. The next day, Jong was surprised to see the little wanderer in the Coding World lobby looking for someone to carry her again. This time, she's holding a placard offering 3 GP per round. She approached her asking if she was still looking for duck feathers, and the latter affirmed. She just wants the duck feathers, not the equipment, so Jong said she'll do it since she has 2 more tries. She was about to head out when she noticed the little wanderer still hadn't gotten up, which prompted her to ask what was wrong. Little Wanderer admitted that she doesn't have enough GP with her to carry them for 2 rounds because she only has 5. Jong contemplated for a moment before telling her that it was fine. She was still going anyway. With Jong's god-tier skills, it didn't take long for them to conquer the field, so the little wanderer found herself collecting duck feathers again after the end of the round. Can she really make something out of those duck feathers? Little Wanderer answered that she uses it to maintain her duck beach. Her duck what? Is that even a thing? Apparently it is. And you just have to be at least level 40 with crafting. Level what? As a level 20, hearing how someone is level 40 out there is practically a god to Jong. And yes, Little Wanderer is a level 40. With that, she happily asked her hard carrier if she wanted to see what she would do with it. She almost called Little Wanderer Aladdin, because this was a whole new world. Jong couldn't believe Little Wanderer did all this. Is she some Minecraft goddess? Are they even playing the same game? Happy Little Wanderer's mansion was full of, what else? Wonder, no pun intended. The OG game was an action-adventure game, so how in the heck did Little Wanderer turn it into her own Animal Crossing simulation? She even created a standee of the leader, dropping in a few game secrets here and there. Jong was so excited she shared this discovery within their group chat. Little Wanderer's mansion brags of its own Tiao Tiao photo studio, tea garden, and even an onsen. Currently, Jong's relaxing at the Duck Private Beach, saying how it's a shame they can't sell all of this. But it's just a game, so it's cool if they can just play it at their own leisure. With that said, Jong offered to carry her in the future as well, making Little Wanderer beam again. The next day, Jong was supposed to play with Lee since they needed help at the Demon King Ridge when she suddenly received a message from Little Wanderer. The latter was asking if she was going to Coding World, and even though Jong was already about to go to Lee, she decided to tell her friend that she was going to Coding World instead. Since then, Jong has spent every day carrying Little Wanderer through the Coding World, switching between there and the former's Duck Beach. Before they realized it, they had already spent 2 months playing together. In the 3rd month, they were on standby at the lobby of the Coding World when Little Wanderer pointed out how one of the ducks was pretty stupid. After that, they both logged off, and as soon as she was out, Jong received a message notification from her phone. She saw that it was a voice message from Little Wanderer, and clicked to hear the latter bidding her goodnight in the most kawaii voice ever. Before she knew it, Jong kept pressing play multiple times as a small smile formed on her face. At Heavenly Dog Super Smash's main city, one of Jong's friends, Lee, tries to pick up girls inside the game. Unfortunately, she was flat out rejected because her avatar was a muscular dog, something the other girl hated. Poor Lee was about to cry her eyes out when she heard the PA's voice congratulating user Ginger Yuzu T, Jong, and Happy Little Wanderer for achieving Friend Aircraft Carrier. What's impressive about this is that it will never capsize. It's their ship literally sailing. Yo, Lee couldn't believe what she heard. Did Jong really achieve 10,000 friendship points? Just how many missions did they complete together? Jong's still pretty nonchalant about it, just as her now Lao Po bids her usual goodnight voice message. She was already feeling giddy from receiving such a sweet message, ignoring the bitter trash talk sent her way on their group chat. Jong slept that night with that same sheepish smile, something she even carried well through office hours. Lee was the one forced to bear witness to Jong's smitten era. The girl almost even started eating with her nostrils. Okay, that's it. It's time to pop her bubble. Lee told her straight up that online dating was only fun at the beginning. Once the rose-colored glasses come off, then everything's crap. Plus, did Jiang really think that her little wanderer is actually a pretty girl? Jiang retorts that she's not that shallow. You know, homegirl's in too deep, because even if her Laopo looked like a dog in the game, she knows that she's still very cute in real life. Later that night, Jiang stares intently at her phone, deciding whether she should ask her Laopo to meet with her. In the end, she just heaved a sigh and hung her head in low spirits. Jiang woke up to someone calling out to her laogong and saw a photo of a balding woman in front of her. It was really just Lee screwing around. Jiang was so startled she got up from her seat, annoyed at what her friend just pulled. Lee remains unfazed. In fact, she thinks this baldy is what Jiang's Laopo really looked like. Hell, she may even be more baldy than the picture they're looking at. Jiang couldn't even rebut that, so she only kept quiet. A little harsh, but that real talk's a little too real. Lee's already put the idea on Jiang's head, so our poor homegirl can't help but feel anxious. We're already halfway through our video and nearing the end of our story. So if you want to gas us up a little more, it wouldn't hurt to consider giving us a super thanks so we can pump out more videos like this. Now, back to the story. Later, one of her co-workers calls out to Jiang. Mr. Gu asked for her to attend the meeting held at 1407. As soon as she stepped out of the room, Jiang heard a voice from the end of the hall that sounded awfully familiar. She stopped in her tracks because even she couldn't believe what she was hearing. Was she imagining things? Curious to see who the voice belongs to, Jiang turns in the direction of the voice and sees a dark-haired girl standing by the window with her back against Jiang. She knows this voice. Is this her Laopo? The girl continues to speak in a sugary, kawaii voice before switching to her real voice as she curses the other person on the line once she hangs up. Finally, the girl turns around and makes eye contact with Jiang, and the latter feels that familiar ba thump. As if that wasn't bad enough, she starts to gay panic seeing the girl was about to walk over to her. Jiang retreated to her office, hiding away from Herr Yao. She takes a peek at the latter's retreating back, contemplating how a Java geek like her could really be that lucky to score a beauty like that. It's well believed that Java girls have pretty decent luck. Just take, for example, the company's very own Java nerd, Jiang. Exhibit A. Jiang spent a wonderful afternoon with a certain someone, aka Herr Yao, who is very much suspected to be the former's online wife. It was a team effort, and they even had Zhou go home at the exact time for this. Exhibit B. By then, Jiang was almost pretty sure that Herr Yao was her online Laopo, especially since one time the beautiful supervisor dropped by the office late at night to give them boba tea. Well, the others also benefited from this, but who cares? Free boba tea. It was a good start until the thing happened. Jiang's Laopo suddenly blocked her for no reason at all. Of course, her friends have their own opinions, saying maybe Little Wanderer must have been scared of Jiang's big simp energy. In the end, she couldn't take it and broke down crying at the office. Her friends tried to comfort her, saying straight girls would get their due. Just like that, a few months have already passed until the day of the celebratory dinner. Initially, they weren't going until Zhou mentioned that she was going to invite Herr Yao to come with her. Finally, her redemption arc. It's her chance to either make a move or make things right, so God bless Zhou. This would have been swell until it wasn't. All night, Herr Yao only entertained Mr. Gu drinking with him as she egged him on. Hearing their conversation just then, Jiang couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed at seeing how this exact same tactic was how Herr Yao got her wrapped around her finger. Although she didn't show it during dinner, Jiang was fuming on the inside and green with jealousy. So now we're back to the present. Jiang really brought a long receipt of Herr Yao's atrocities to her. Of course, being the stubborn woman that she is, Herr Yao remained quiet. But gotta give credit to Jiang though. She really made Herr Yao seem like the bad guy in the story. In the end, she could only retort with this question. Why did Jiang even tell her about the online couples living their own lives crap when she knew it was her all along? And what's up with calling her old lady? By now, Herr Yao was already poking the younger's cheek, asking if she had fun teasing the former. Jiang shook her head fervently before they were locked in a glare once again. Butch Sakura shook her head again, and this time, she changed tactics, playing off about how she was worse off than Herr Yao. Jiang didn't hesitate to address herself with the nickname Herr Yao called her early on, the magic wand of the mortal realm, which had it worse the last 3 months because she was sad and single. A moment later, they turned serious as Jong gingerly tapped Heryao's hand, asking for a kiss. Heryao was too taken aback by the request that her hand jerk the happy little great duck figure out the window. The two of them only stared at it before exchanging looks as Jong pulled her in and grabbed her by the neck for a kiss. At first, Heryao was startled, but she decided to cave in and return the kiss. They were quite at it for a long while because now it started to rain again. After what seemed to be an eternity, they broke the kiss and started acting shyly again. It was Jong who broke the silence as she asked the other woman what shade of lipstick she was wearing. Heryao told her that it was the apple-colored viral one called FGNL37. Jong brushed her thumb against Heryao's bottom lip as she started to kiss her again, but this time, Jong's kisses went down to Heryao's neck. The latter felt ticklish and told her to stop a few times before ultimately pushing Jong back. This time, Jong knew how to play her cards and called her laopo, asking what was wrong. Heryao only called her a perv, recounting how she didn't have permission to touch the other and taking advantage of her. This time, Jong knew better and kept her mouth shut as Heryao continued to list a couple of not-so-nice adjectives her way. But it's not her fault. It's the artist who made her do that. You best believe Heryao had a lot of things to say. And it wasn't until she mentioned how doing it inside the car that Jong finally got it. Of course, she's still a lady. There needs to be some sort of delicacy. With that, she asked Heryao if she can come inside, seeing how she's got a pretty big house. She really thought she got it in the bag, but Heryao only continued to scold her. Besides, her sister could come in anytime soon. Heryao was back to poking Jong's cheek, scolding her for getting too comfortable, then acting all cold toward her. Trying to appease her annoyed wife, Jong tries to sweet-talk her way through things, even hugging Heryao as she explains that she lost control upon seeing such a beautiful girl. Now's her chance. Jong continued to rub her face over Heryao's chest when suddenly, the latter's phone lit up with a text notification. Heryao checked and saw that it was from her sister, informing her that she'll be back tomorrow. There was a pregnant pause as both of them continued to stare at the screen before Jong got energized. Thank you, Joe, for coming in clutch once again. This time, Jong's more pushy than ever, even though Heryao's a bit worried since her sister may come back earlier. Well, car fun it is. And with that, the happy little great duck figure bore witness as Laopo and Laogong finally became one. And that's how the manhwa ends, with Laopo and Laogong finally together in real life. If you want more videos like this, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on our uploads. And if you liked this video, then you should check out the next one.